an image, and you guys, do you know?
Little thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like something like this.
And you leave with something.
Yeah. That you
give her,
did.
you pay her, and she give you the materials and teach you how to do it. And you leave. You know, it's something.
Feeling accomplished.
You don't have to go and shrimp scampi every time you go
and pasta Alfredo every time.
Every time?
Yeah,
No, you have to do it
you're
every
belly
time.
tired of you. You understand? Yeah, I'm just saying. But guys, listen, don't be afraid to learn something new. I know for many of us, it can be very daunting. It can be very intimidating, but it can also be very gratifying. And so just have an open mind and have an open attitude, and let us try to do and learn something new for 2026. It's our time to skedaddle up on out of here. So remember that kindness is karma and kindness is magic. So be as kind to as many people as you possibly can. And please do remember to be kind to yourselves.
All right.
Have a great day.
International Susan Day. Bye.
All right. Bye, Susan. Happy birthday. Bye.
This is Morgan. I want you to keep watching CVMTV, be inspired, be informed, right? See it happen right here on CVMTV. Morgan Heritage till the year 3000 and beyond. Grams Morgan say that. See it? Blessings.
Good evening and welcome to Lead Story. As Jamaica enters 2026, the institutions meant to safeguard integrity, fairness and accountability themselves are under scrutiny. Tonight we examine a leadership transition at National Integrity Action and what it signals for civil society oversight. We then turn to growing political tensions over who holds visibility and power after an election is lost. And we close with a reminder that some threats to national security come without a warning at all, as Jamaica marks Earthquake Awareness Week. This is Lead Story. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that during Friday's broadcast, an unedited clip containing inappropriate language was aired briefly. That should not have happened, and we apologize to our viewers. The clip was removed immediately once identified on air, and we have since reviewed our editorial controls to ensure that all third-party content is fully vetted prior to broadcast. We thank our viewers for their understanding and remain committed to maintaining appropriate broadcast standards. Now, let us turn to today's discussion on the shifts in national accountability bodies, because civil society plays a critical role in any democracy, monitoring power, demanding transparency, and holding government to account. Today, one of Jamaica's most prominent watchdog organizations is entering a new chapter. Dr. Gavin Myers has been appointed Principal Director of National Integrity Action, following the departure of former Principal Director Daniel Archer. The question now is not just who leads, but what direction NIA takes at a time of governance fatigue, donor scrutiny, and public skepticism. Dr. Myers, welcome to Lead Story. Welcome, Dr. Myers.
You broke up. I'm not hearing you just
All right.
now.
Dr. Gavin Myers is with us, but we're clarifying right now his connection with us so that we can have this conversation about National Integrity Action and their new leadership change. Daniel Archer exited that organization at the end of 2025, and National Integrity Action has informed the nation that as of January 1, 2026, they now have a new principal director. Now, at a time where there are so many concerns that are being raised about integrity and accountability here in Jamaica, but also a changing global landscape that has donor funding shifting and different questions being asked both here and abroad, this big organizational shift is now something we want to take a look at. Welcome, Dr. Gavin Myers, and welcome to Lead Story.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jodi.
Thanks so much for being with us. Dr. Gavin Myers, you are now the new head of National Integrity Action. What mandate are you inheriting? What does that look like? What does success look like for NIA in 2026 under your new leadership?
Well, success for NIA is the same one that we have always had, one that Jamaica that has just institutions, that there is integrity in public office, and that there is an understanding that people who hold public office and just the public officers themselves, we expect the best from them, and that we are looking on. This is what we have always been doing from the start of NIA. Well, even before NIA itself started, but just that we have good integrity and probity in public office.
You are taking over from former Principal Director Daniel Archer. What do you see as her leadership achievements that you will be hoping to continue, or things that she did that you might want to alter under your leadership?
So I'm going to begin with a very honest thing. I took over the role just now, and we just had one meeting with the team, and I honestly would have to answer in such a way that, the broad things about continuity and building, but also specifically that as a team we haven't discussed most of what we are going to do yet. So I'm just asking if you could give me just a little bit more time for me to answer those questions about taking over. I'll just say though that Danielle has been a major champion going forward. She took up the mantle at a time when we needed strong leadership, and she gave that. So as Michael Jackson said, I have very strong, what did she say? Very high heels to fit in. I don't wear high heels, but you understand the sentiment.
And this is now the Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, another civil society organization whose leader you've mentioned, Michael Jackson, says that your high heels need to be brushed off. Speaking about the shoes that Daniel Archer would have been wearing.
She wears lovely shoes. Daniel wears lovely shoes. But as you may notice there are certain differences that will obviously come, but there's also some things that are continuity and that we have to talk about. The public space that we work in, that we engage in, there has been some comments about it being declining. There have also been some ways that we're trying to build collaborations and work across institutional barriers, building the partnership between civil society, and the public sector, building partnership with the private sector, but just ensuring that we deepen our relationship with citizens across Jamaica. That is something that we continue doing as civil society. And as NIA, I continue with this work. This is work that we've been doing for a long while.
Work that the
there are
NIA...
different stylistic changes, but
yes.
We're working at it.
So you have highlighted to us that you're brand new. You're in the organization as the principal director, brand new, but you used to be with the organization, formerly with NIA in another capacity. Does that role, that familiarity with the organization, then strengthen your ability to walk in now knowing what you're all about, but also knowing that there are quite a number of shifts taking place in the space, as you spoke about, the perception of anti-corruption leadership and civil society that allows for you to quickly get up to speed?
Yes. I think, if we talk about NIA over the time that it has emerged until now, we have always been in a situation where there has been flux. And, Jamaica's problems, as we might talk about, is what you consider and discuss in academia as a wicked problem. That one problem has many different faces and different phases. So solving any one problem will require collaboration and working across different societies, different groupings at different places. So whilst I've walked in with some historical knowledge, we understand that we're in this moment, this political moment, locally and internationally, that have many raindrops, rain or fall on many fronts. So there is the visible and physical Hurricane Melissa recovery. There's also the condition in the political space. And then there's also some shifts in personal relationships and such that we have to talk about and how we build. I come to this understanding some of this, but also understanding that we are one family and that the relationship, there's only one earth, and there's only one Jamaica. So we have to work together, build this relationship, and also stand on principles.
Well, you want to
Because
stand on those principles, Dr. Myers. You want to stand on those principles. You want to have this sort of collaborative approach. But how does NIA avoid becoming performative in an environment where accountability language, we become very familiar with it. Everybody has this talk now about accountability wording, but we're often not seeing it either adopted or enforced.
There's 2 points that you raised that are very important. One, we are aiming at NIA, and we have always aimed not to be performative. We're aiming that accountability is a practice. That is a practice that is both active and it's also built in passively in the systems. It's not good enough to come and say at the end that someone failed. It is important enough that we say the systems are there, that they're working. And along with being working, that we feel like we matter, that our voice matter, and that as a society, that our role in this is not every 5 years, every 2 years, or when someone calls on us. It's that we are there as a part of the relationship. And all Jamaicans understand that this is one Jamaica that we're going to build. The other piece of this, which is also important, is to understand that this role that we play is not something that other people have handed to us or said to us that we have. It's something that is innate to us, that we have because we're Jamaicans. So I am very confident that my relationships with people will be built around that. The other thing that is also important is that we can do as much as we can as people. However, how people will receive it now has to come through some form of discussion. I am hoping that people are open to discussion, open to engagement, open to having some form of understanding that we are trying to build a better Jamaica together. Because if they don't want to do that, I don't know. I really don't know.
As a new leader at NIA in the position of Principal Director, what should the public hold you and NIA accountable for by the end of the year? Big question, but have to be put to you.
Well, let me lean forward though and say to yourself again. This is one of those questions that I honestly would ask you. If you allow me to speak with the team internally, but also with more people outside to give you a better answer as to this. So according to the press release, I started January 1st. It's the 12th of January. I really don't get the amount of time, to engage much.
Well, Dr. Myers, people need you to be up and running quickly. We need organizations like yours. So we pressure you because we want to see what it is that NIA has ready for us with this transition.
I agree, Jody. But you know what NIA has been doing. So we're going to continue those things in terms of ensuring that we speak out, ensuring that we build accountability, ensure that we speak this into being, we build relationships, that the critical structures and sectors have a voice, that people, the man in the street, the man from country, man from town, the woman from all over, have a voice, and that they feel that we are engaged and speaking with them. Those things are there. But in terms of specifically offering, exactly saying that by the end of the year, we would have reached X point on the corruption perception index, whatever it is, those things I would not be able to give until we as an organization have had a fulsome thing.
What we have heard then is that Dr. Gavin Myers has promised as part of National Integrity Action and as Principal Director to come back inside Lead Story and give us a follow-up. But talking to us today has been useful for us. Dr. Gavin Myers, thank you so very much for joining us today inside Lead Story. Thank you so much,
Jodi, and just all the best for the year. I'm looking forward to a year of integrity, and accountability. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening to you. We're taking a break here inside Lead Story and coming back to you. A big back and forth between the JLP and PNP. Is the Jamaica Labour Party as government bringing in persons who have lost their seats to be at the helm, visible without a mandate? The PNP says yes, the JLP says no. We'll have this back and forth conversation with both parties next inside Lead Story.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit the dark, shine your lights
Unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's a live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story. We're having a tussle here inside the nation between the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party. Well, at least on the side of the PNP, this is an issue that goes to the heart of democratic authority, because the opposition People's National Party alleges that unsuccessful candidates from the 2025 general election are being given prominent visibility in official or quasi-official settings, including during the distribution of hurricane relief. The governing Jamaica Labour Party, however, says this is a mischaracterization and that community engagement should not be politicized. But it's not just about personalities, it's about mandate, authority, and the signal sent to voters after the election is decided. Let's listen to what has sparked this. First, from the part of the People's National Party, as they had issued a press release signed by Philip Paulwell. We'll listen to Philip Paulwell as he goes through the release.
The parliamentary opposition has raised serious concerns about a growing pattern of conduct by the government that undermines Jamaica's democratic process, where individuals rejected by voters in the September 3, 2025 general elections are being facilitated to participate in activities that properly belong to elected members of Parliament. The latest incident occurred on January 9, 2026, when former MP Michelle Charles, now a private citizen, participated in an official tour of the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas, alongside State Minister Crystal Lee. The duly elected Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, Rose Shaw, was neither informed of nor invited to the visit. This action represents a clear breach of established parliamentary and administrative protocols and a disregard for the will of the people of Eastern St. Thomas. Ms. Charles, having lost her seat in the last general elections, holds no public office and no authority to conduct or participate in official government business. Her inclusion in a tour of a critical public health institution supported by state resources falsely projects an official capacity she does not possess. The government is deliberately blurring lines and creating administrative chaos. We will have to raise this matter formally in Parliament and demand accountability.
So this is a press release that had been shared by the People's National Party on Friday, January 9, indicating their displeasure with what they understood to be a particular decision taken by the JLP to venerate and highlight Dr. Michelle Charles, former Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Eastern. However, Dr. Michelle Charles answered the response, or rather answered the press release from the People's National Party, indicating that she was just there as a member of the constituency, walking through the hospital. Let's take a listen.
I wish to clarify the circumstances surrounding my presence at the Princess Margaret Hospital on January the 9th, 2016. I was not invited or formally notified and had no prior knowledge of Minister of State, the Honourable Crystal Lee's visit to our hospital. As is my routine, I was in my Morant Bay dental office, where I usually am sometimes during the week, and I was informed that Minister Lee was at the hospital. I decided to stop by briefly and say hello. Upon my arrival, the members of the hospital staff recognized me, welcomed me warmly, and asked that I remain. So I agreed. I remain focused on supporting healthcare workers and advocating for improved services for the people of Eastern St. Thomas, and I will always engage respectfully with institutions serving our communities. The statement from Philip Paulwell about the government bypassing elected representatives is false and lacks merit.
Well, this is a tension that's currently now going on between the People's National Party as opposition and the Jamaica Labour Party as government, with the PNP saying that those individuals who actually from the PNP won their constituencies are not able to be elevated in these official visits that are taking place. And they specifically spoke about Rose Shaw there in St. Thomas Eastern. We did attempt to get Rose Shaw into the program this evening, but she was unavailable to be able to speak with us. However, the PNP is making a broader claim that it's not just a situation in St. Thomas Eastern, but one that they claim is happening across the country. And so they're saying that is the context within which this press release issued on January 9 is to be understood. But you did hear Dr. Michelle Charles there firing back at the PNP, and in particular, the author and reader of the PNP's press statement, Philip Paulwell, who indicated that this is what he would call more broadly a practice, one that Dr. Michelle Charles has said is not in fact in any way practiced by the Jamaica Labour Party, and she certainly, for that tour of the Princess Margaret Hospital, had not been officially involved. However, the big question here is who gets visibility after elections, and if the party that wins elections brings individuals into their I suppose, stronghold areas as they're doing their own walkthroughs, or if a member of the public, as Dr. Michelle Charles is, now that she's no longer the successful candidate there in St. Thomas Eastern, is now walking to a hospital, as she says, seeing individuals, getting hugs, being the person that she is in that constituency. Are they to be knocked out? Are they not to then have any public say at all? Now, candidates who are caretakers of constituencies, that is, that they have indicated they'll be running in the next election, are those who will benefit from the sort of visibility that comes when a sitting minister, and in this case sitting ministers are on the side of the Jamaica Labour Party, is taking a walk through, being able to then bring them in and have visibility brought to them as caretaker candidates, already prepping for the next general elections, but also allowing for people to see who their representatives are. On the other hand, while the PNP has won more seats in the 2025 election than they did in 2020, there are also still concerns that they are unable to get the visibility for the members of parliament, sitting members, so that they'd be able to speak with them. Now, we have invited inside Lead Story this evening two individuals, one on the side of the People's National Party, one on the side of the Jamaica Labour Party. Both have confirmed with us, both are to have been with us this evening. Unfortunately, the People's National Party candidate, or rather caretaker, Stacey Knight, is having technical difficulties as she speaks with us inside Lead Story. She's expected to join us as she's PNP caretaker for St. Andrew North Eastern. We also invited George Wright, JLP caretaker for Westmoreland Central. He has agreed to come inside the show, having confirmed twice. However, he has not shown up for today's edition of the show, and that unfortunately means that the discussions that we are having today are without the People's National Party, who issued the press release, and the Jamaica Labour Party, who, through Dr. Michelle Charles, pushed back on that release. But let's start with first principles. After an election is lost, what authority, if any, does an unsuccessful candidate have in public-facing official settings? Should they have one? Should they not have one at all? That's a big question, especially for those individuals who say your job is to disappear as a caretaker candidate, allowing for the sitting member of parliament to get the visibility and do their work. Now, who determines who is front and center at official engagements is also an access issue, and that might be shaped by party loyalty rather than just electoral outcomes. Well, inside Lead Story this evening, we have with us the People's National Party's representative, Stacey Knight, here joining us. She is the caretaker for St. Andrew North Eastern. Stacey Knight, good evening and welcome to Lead Story.
Hi, good evening, Jody. Good evening to your listeners.
Thanks so much for joining us. The People's National Party on Friday issued a press release with Philip Paulwell indicating that the PNP had been concerned about what could be seen as a demotion of members of parliament from being on the front lines and having conversations and being invited to official gatherings, and instead those candidates who had lost on the side of the Jamaica Labour Party instead being the ones who are at official engagements. Is this something that the entire party stands with him on?
Well, I don't speak this evening as a representative of the entire party.
Certainly, but for you, is this something that is Philip Paulwell specific, or do you, Stacey Knight, also see it happening?
I'm standing right beside Philip. I see it happening and I'm calling it out as wrong. It's wrong. It's unacceptable, really. Jody, I don't know what's happening now. It's not just in Jamaica, but the world over. Conventions and rules that we thought were sacrosanct are just being blatantly disregarded.
That is the focus of today's conversation, because we started off with National Integrity Action, looking at these sorts of principles on which we operate. And now this conversation is meant to continue that. You said those rules are being jettisoned, set to the side. these rules that you considered sacrosanct, other words, sacred. What about this principle of having a member of parliament who has won a constituency be the one who is officially invited, and a member who, on the side of the minister who did not win, not be officially invited? Where did that come from?
Well, I don't know where it came from. What's happening now, I don't know where that came from. But for your listeners, let me just help to explain a little bit. Democracy is really saying that the people have the power to choose who their leaders are. That's what it's all about. And when voters elect a member of parliament, that's the person who is their member in parliament and outside of parliament, because it's the member who represents the entire constituency for that term of office. So for someone who has not been elected to step into that role, when there is someone who was elected, who is available, who hasn't even been invited or requested to play the role, it really gives the lie to the whole idea of democracy and the Representation of the People Act.
Well, let's take a break with that, Stacey Knight, because Representation of the People Act aside, you're also the caretaker candidate. Does that mean that candidates like you should disappear completely? We'll talk about that after the break here inside Lead Story.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music hits I play, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit it down. Shine your lights on.
Thanks for staying with us inside Lead Story as we tease out what happens when you lose an election, but you're still very visible. That's what the People's National Party argues is happening, as the Jamaica Labour Party, they claim, is prioritising candidates who have lost in the last general elections, but still giving them visibility after. We're now joined by Stacey Knight, PNP caretaker of St. Andrew Northeastern, and we also invited George Wright, JLP caretaker for Westmoreland Central. He is now attempting to join us, but we're still trying to make sure that he is on a stable link, so we're trying to make that work during the show. Stacey Knight, the question to you though, before the break, you spoke about the importance of democracy being the thing at play here. People choose their elected leaders. Their elected leader becomes a member of parliament representing the entire constituency. Does that then mean that caretaker candidates like you are expected to disappear?
Actually, no, it doesn't, Jody, because as a caretaker, my visibility is important. It's important to help to keep the representative accountable, and it's important for those who did vote for me or who voted for any other candidate who is not elected, that there are persons who did support that candidate, and those persons do want to check in with their member of parliament representative, or can I say, or their caretaker from time to time. I must say, sometimes the lines are very blurred because members of the public believe that because they voted for you, they say, you're still my MP. And so you are the one I want to help to agitate to get my roads fixed. You are the person I'm coming to when my children's school fees
instead of the elected member of parliament that they might believe belongs to another party and therefore might not represent their interests?
Exactly. That happens a lot every day. Every day I get calls from people who don't want to go to the elected member of parliament because they want to come to the caretaker who they voted for and who they may have faith in. But that's not the point this evening, really. It's not about a caretaker remaining visible. Visibility is very different from carrying out a constitutional function. And the establishment of parliament is by no less than the Constitution of Jamaica. And so the role of being a member of parliament is a very high office, an official office, and one that someone cannot just aspire to and therefore be. You must be elected. Being a caretaker is a party position, it's a political position. And so caretakers can remain visible, can remain connected, and can do all that they want to do within the constituency, but not in an official capacity.
But this is something that Dr. Michelle Charles, in her statement, made it very clear. She wasn't acting in an official capacity. She characterized it, and I'll reframe it here, as community engagement. She went to the Princess Margaret Hospital. She knows the people there. She saw the sitting minister. She got a hug. She said hi to the people. Is community engagement different from the sort of democratic principle, the encroachment that you're speaking of here?
Well, the difference is that in her social media post on that visit to the Princess Margaret Hospital, she spoke about we welcoming the Minister of State. Who is that we on whom she speaks?
The same way that you have said persons in your constituency have greater faith in you, voted for you, would believe that you are better able to represent their interests, and you might speak of we in that context. Does she get no space to be able to do the same?
She doesn't, because she's speaking about welcoming a Minister of State. And the Minister of State is an official position as well. And so the person who should welcome that official position into the constituency has to be the official representative of the constituency.
And that being Rose Shaw, who had won for the People's National Party in St. Thomas Eastern.
People's National Party is the elected representative. So Michelle Charles can be at the hospital at any time. She can visit patients, she can visit friends, she can visit constituents. But she cannot properly speak as a representative of the people when the Representation of the People Act did not empower her so to do.
All right, this is one constituency. The statement, though, from Philip Powell and the People's National Party seems to indicate, at least on first reading, that this is not just a St. Thomas Eastern concern, but rather in constituencies across the country where they're seeing this happen. Well, you said yes. Why do you say so?
Well, we've been seeing it happening elsewhere. We've been seeing it. You said you were going to have George Wright on. I think there have been allegations of the same kind of misconduct on his behalf or in his constituency.
Misconduct? Do you believe that's too harsh a word, especially since he is going around as, you might say, a private citizen, since he's caretaker candidate there in Westmoreland, that he might too, as a private citizen, be at these events?
Well, I'm not judging him to have committed some misconduct. I'm saying that there have been allegations of misconduct. And yes, it's not too harsh a word, because the allegation is that there was misconduct. If it is proven that the allegations are true, then it is misconduct. Purporting to act in a role when one is not in that role, it smacks almost of dishonesty. And you know, in a society where so many of our people don't even understand what governance is about, what elections are about, we have to be careful, because we want to educate people. Well, we want to educate people. I don't know what other people want to do, but we want to educate people, because education is empowerment. People need to understand, and when they elect a member of parliament, what they're electing that person to do. And by the way, it's not to pay school fees and doctor bills. That's not what it's about. It's about far more. It's about representing the people, welcoming official visitors to their constituency and to official institutions in the constituency like hospitals and so on. It's about making laws in parliament and advocating on behalf of the people of the constituency. And so when there are official roles to be carried out, whether it's hurricane relief or welcoming somebody to an institution, it's the official person that must carry out that role. Otherwise, what's the purpose of having an election?
Well, you did mention hurricane relief, and that's something that has also been spoken about with the visibility, some have argued, of the members of parliament of the Jamaica Labour Party, but not as visible a role of the members of parliament of the People's National Party, to the extent that they are being superseded by JLP losers of those constituencies. Let me pull in here for this conversation George Wright here, JLP caretaker for Westmoreland Central. George Wright, thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story. George
Good
Wright?
night, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, viewers.
Thank you so very much.
I'm George Wright, caretaker for Westmoreland Central.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Wright. There's a conversation brewing right now with the People's National Party saying that you and other members of the Jamaica...
I'm hearing you clearly. I'm on a file, but I don't know if there's a position, but let me try to get onto another...
All right, we are hearing
service.
you. We are hearing you. So let's resolve that there in studio.
Could you just give me a few seconds?
All right, no. Don't leave, George Wright. Stay where you are. We resolve it in studio here. Let me continue with Stacey Knight as we continue this conversation with you. So don't leave. We'll resolve that in studio here. Stacey Knight, if this becomes normalized, are you concerned about what happens for the next elections?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Sorry, that was anything.
Stacey Knight?
If this becomes normalized.
Yes, this is the sort of behavior of pulling in people who are not actually the MPs in favor of having your own party member visible versus a member of parliament that has won in a constituency. You're afraid that this becomes normal behavior now going forward?
It's unconstitutional behavior. It's poor governance. Everything is wrong with it. Every single thing is wrong with it. And don't get me wrong, we're not talking about visibility. People are entitled to be as visible as they want and to post as much as they want on their social media platforms. It's what they are representing that they're doing when they're posting on their social media platforms.
And you want it to be very clear that it's not in their official capacity or their former official capacity for those individuals who used to be members of parliament, but that instead they're only sitting as caretakers and do not have that constitutional function?
Exactly, because there is no official capacity of a caretaker. It's not a constitutional position. There's no legal description of caretaker. I'm a caretaker. It's a role of a private citizen. A private citizen is a caretaker. Member of Parliament is a constitutional function.
And that is certainly one that's delineated in quite a specific fashion in Jamaica's constitution. Help us understand, would you support Philip Paulwell and others who are sitting members in Parliament right now on the side of the People's National Party to bring forth some sort of protocol or suggestion of how sitting MPs should be able to conduct themselves when compared to those individuals who are sitting in that non-constitutional party role of caretaker, or even others as you say, purport to be representing a constituency where they're not in fact the MP?
Would I support it? Yes. It's sad that it's necessary because, I mean, this is not a new democracy. We're not a new nation. We are over 60 years old, yeah? I mean, this is something that's known, you know. It's not a lack of knowledge of it, why it's being breached. It's just a lack of regard for it. And so I'm not sure that setting out the protocol in writing would make a difference, really. Because if people want to be in breach of regulations, of rules, of law, of constitutions, they're going to do it. But the thing is, what there needs to be is consequences. And in order for there to be consequences, really, we're going to have to get tougher right there in the parliament. That's where it happens. That's where the consequences come about. Legislation that causes there to be some consequence for holding oneself out to be a member of parliament when one is not.
All right, let me pull in George Wright here, JLP caretaker for Westmoreland Central. George Wright, you and others in the Jamaica Labour Party are being alleged to be put front and centre, taking official positions when you're not member of parliament. How do you and the JLP respond? George Wright?
Repeat that.
You
Yes, repeat
and
that.
others in the Jamaica Labour Party are being accused of putting forward persons who have lost the election as official party members or having them act in official capacities. Philip Paulwell issued a release on Friday talking about this. In the case of Dr. Michelle Charles in St. Thomas, you are also being alleged to have been doing that. What's your response?
For me, those are some unfortunate accusations. I've never gotten a call or email from any ministers of government to attend any sitting coming into the constituency. However, I can recall once when a minister was coming, but it was published. And as a citizen of the constituency, also as a representative, a caretaker of the constituency, it is my right to attend any function that had been advertised or been known to me whenever any minister or member of parliament is coming into my constituency.
Were you going to any of these things in an official capacity or to support the JLP?
Repeat that?
Were you going to any of these events in an official capacity or to support the JLP?
No, I go as a citizen. I go in as a citizen. And I don't know of any occasion where a minister coming into Central Westmoreland and contacted me as a caretaker. I don't know of any occasion where that is concerned.
Well, certainly this is a back and forth conversation that the JLP and PNP will be having for weeks and months to come, it seems, as the People's National Party has issued a release, and Dr. Michelle Charles, in response to it, given that she was the person named in the release along with George Wright, are now pushing back. Stacey Knight, PNP caretaker for St. Andrew Northeastern, and George Wright, JLP caretaker for Westmoreland Central, thank you so very much for joining us inside Lead Story. We're now having a conversation about earthquakes and Earthquake Awareness Week next inside Lead Story.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orvin Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't be the dark, shine your lights
We close tonight with a different kind of accountability. Not political, but personal and national. After months of hurricanes, with tracking models, warnings, and preparation windows, Jamaicans are being reminded of a harder truth. Earthquakes, those, well, arrive without warning. This week, Jamaica marks Earthquake Awareness Week, led by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, with scientific support from the University of the West Indies Mona campus. So, to join us, we are having inside lead story Carleen Black, Scientific Officer at the Earthquake Unit, UWI Mona. Carleen, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good evening to you and your viewers.
Thank you for joining us during Earthquake Awareness Week. Help us understand first, why is Jamaica's earthquake risk permanent, not just a hypothetical thing in the back of people's minds? Why is that a big thing here? And as you talk to us about how earthquakes differ from the threats that we had to deal with over the past 2 years, which is 2 hurricanes that gave us advance notice and warning.
Okay, well, if you all remember the Lady Gaga song, I Was Born This Way, well, so was Jamaica. We are actually located at a plate boundary zone, which is we're between the North American plate and the Caribbean plate. And we're not just close to the boundary zone, we are a part of it. And the plate boundary zones are where you get the majority of earthquakes. So this is where the earthquakes are generated as the plates try to move past each other, and we are right in the midst of it. In terms of other hazards that we may have had, like hurricanes, whereas you can watch a hurricane develop and have time to prepare for it, with earthquakes, you don't know it's happening until it happens. So we can't predict earthquakes. So what we really need to do is to understand that we are a part of a plate boundary zone, so we are going to always have earthquakes. Earthquakes have no season, and so whatever we do for hurricanes, we really need to have these preparations in place in terms of our emergency kits and contact numbers, everything that you need to do to plan for an emergency in case you are displaced from home or you lose contact with family. You have to have all of that in place year round when it comes to an earthquake. So that's what I want everyone to, start thinking about and doing something about.
Carleen Black, are you saying that we should be prepared all year round then?
Yes. I know some of us have a feeling that, when it's hot because of the heat, or that there is a season, or that we only get earthquakes in January, but earthquakes can happen at any time. Yes, the 1907 earthquake, that is why we commemorate every January, or Earthquake Awareness Week, if not an Earthquake Awareness Month. But the 16, the west of the country had quite a good shake in 1957, and that was in March. And if you look all over the globe, at all times of the year, earthquakes are happening. So there's no season for earthquakes.
And in 2023, Carleen, we had a significant earthquake here in Jamaica in October. So you're saying all throughout the year, all of the months, open season potentially for earthquakes. Is it more visible nowadays, though, that we're having earthquakes because of social media? Because people are posting more and more, and they're saying they're seeing and they're feeling earthquakes across Jamaica more frequently. Is that accurate, or is it just our perception of them?
I think it's a little bit of both. Because of social media, you're aware of all the earthquakes happening around us, all around the globe. And because we had the October 30, 2023 5.6 earthquakes, when you have an earthquake of that magnitude, it takes a while for the earth to settle back down. So because of that, you're going to have smaller quakes as things settle down, called aftershocks. And so that's what we have been getting, for the past year or couple of years. But that will die down, but we can't get complacent because we never know when we're going to get a similar earthquake or an even bigger one.
All right, help us understand then what to do to keep ourselves safe. In the first 10 to 60 seconds of an earthquake, what actions save lives and what are some of the most common mistakes people make?
Okay, well, during an earthquake, the first thing you need to do is remain calm, and then you drop to the ground, because if it's a strong enough earthquake, you may have difficulty standing, and you get to cover. So if you're a sturdy table, then you crawl under the table, and then you hold on to the legs, because during the shaking, the table may bounce away from you, and you want to stay protected under the table from anything that might be falling from the ceiling, or if there's a wall collapsing or something like that. Once the earthquake has passed, you again, check yourself, make sure that you're fine. If there are others with you, you ensure that they too are okay, check on their condition and their whereabouts, and you all evacuate in an orderly manner. So no running, no pushing, no shoving. You all evacuate to the designated evacuation area, which then means that even as a family, at home, everyone should have a plan, just as they do at work or at school. Thank you.
I think that's so important that you've highlighted that plan, because often people will be doing earthquake drills at school or at work, but at home you just think that you're safe. What do you want to tell people about keeping in contact with family and friends after a disaster?
Well, because an earthquake can happen at any time, it could happen during the day when the children are at school, the parents are at various locations at work, and so you need to have a plan so that after the earthquake, you're able to reunite safely. You don't want parents to be, trapped at work. Maybe the roads are blocked and they can't leave, and they're worrying about where the children are and what the children are doing, because, the phone lines might either be down or there's so much traffic that they can't get through. So there needs to be a family plan. The children need to have alternate persons that they can call or go to after the earthquake, and you need to know, okay, if this happens, my child will do this. The child needs to know, if this happens, I am to do this, and mommy and daddy will come and find me.
I think that's so important, especially as we commemorate Earthquake Awareness Week. Many more conversations like these will be happening across dinner tables thanks to your information. Carleen Black, Scientific Officer at the Earthquake Unit at the UWI Mona campus. Thank you so very much for joining us inside Lead Story.
It was my pleasure. Good evening to you all.
So much information that we got there. Accountability, though, was the thread that we had through today's show. Accountability not only holds about who holds office, but about how seriously we take our obligations to each other. When electoral outcomes are blurred, democracy weakens. We spoke to the NIA, and when watchdog institutions lose credibility or are recovering as they have organizational changes, power goes unchecked. And as you heard there, when preparedness is treated as seasonal, disaster becomes deadly. The test for Jamaica in 2026 is not whether we can talk about accountability, but whether we are willing to practice it consistently, even when it is inconvenient. I'm Jodi-Ann Quarry, and on behalf of the entire CVM production team, thanks for watching Lead Story. Have a great